The morning sun rose gently over Ndalama village, painting the sky with streaks of soft orange and pink. Goats bleated, chickens scattered, and the sound of wooden pestles pounding cassava echoed from different compounds. It was a village that lived on rhythm, rhythm of farming seasons, rhythm of tradition, rhythm of gossip, and rhythm of dreams that were often too big for the dusty soil beneath their feet. And in the middle of this earthly rhythm lived Amina Mwango, the girl whose beauty was praised in every corner of Ndalama. When she walked to the borehole, men turned their heads, and women whispered prayers that their daughters might grow up like her. Her skin was the shade of polished ebony, glowing under the sun. Her eyes were sharp, confident, and full of unspoken pride. She came from a family that wasn't wealthy, but her father had a little land, a tin-roofed house, and a reputation for wisdom. That alone lifted their status above many. Amina knew she was admired. She embraced it. And she had dreams bigger than Ndalama's dusty roads. She wanted a husband who could change her life, someone with money, education, and status. Someone who could take her away from village struggles and into the cities she heard stories about. Lusaka, Kigali, Nairobi. Places where people dressed well, ate in restaurants, and lived in buildings taller than palm trees. So, when Kito began showing up in her life, she barely looked at him. Kito was known as the quiet boy who worked odd jobs. He fetched water for elders, repaired broken bicycles, helped at the palm wine shop, and tended to his grandmother's goats. He wore the same faded shirt most days, his slippers were worn out, and his bicycle had only one working brake. The village saw him as humble, respectful, hard-working, but unquestionably poor. Only one problem. Kito was not who he appeared to be. Far away, beyond the valleys and forests, in a kingdom ruled by a royal bloodline centuries old, Kito was actually Prince Kito Mwandenga, the first son of King Sefu Mwandenga. But the king believed the throne should not pass to a son who knew only luxury. He wanted his heir to understand real life, the struggles of his people, the meaning of humility, and the value of a wife who would love not the crown, but the man. So, Kito was sent to live in Ndalama village disguised as a poor villager. Only the palace elders knew his identity. Even the villagers had no clue that the young man repairing bicycles had once worn silk robes and eaten meals served on carved gold platters. But none of that mattered to Amina. One warm afternoon, as she stood at the borehole with a group of her friends, Fatima, Shula, and Kellen, Kito approached with his bicycle tire in hand. "Amina," he greeted softly, "can I talk to you for a moment?" Amina rolled her eyes. "If it's about fixing your bicycle, I'm not your mechanic." Her friends giggled. Kito swallowed. "No. I just wanted to say something." Amina did not like the way her heart thumped at the gentleness in his voice. She covered it with annoyance. "What is it?" He inhaled deeply, looked at her, and said the words he had practiced for weeks. "I like you. I have liked you for a long time. I know I am not rich, but my heart is clean. I work hard. I wanted to ask if you could give me a chance." Amina blinked in disbelief. Her friends burst into laughter. Fatima pressed her stomach. A poor man shooting his shot. Shula whispered loud enough for Kito to hear, "Maybe he thinks love is cooked on a charcoal stove like sweet potatoes." Amina stood tall, her pride rising. "Listen, Kito. I don't need a man who walks around with patched slippers and a bicycle that cries more than it moves. I deserve better." Kito's face fell slightly, but his voice remained calm. "Amina, a person isn't measured by money." "Maybe in your world," she snapped, "but not in mine. I want a man who can take me forward, not keep me trapped in village life." He nodded slowly, holding back the sting. "I understand." "No, you don't," she said sharply. "So I will say it clearly. I can't accept a poor boy as my husband. I won't lower my standards." Her words felt like knives. Kito stepped back, his heart cracking quietly. He had expected rejection, but not cruelty. "Thank you for being honest," he whispered. He turned and walked away, his tire still in hand, swallowing tears he refused to let fall in front of her. Amina's friends clapped and laughed as if celebrating a victory. But the village was listening. And not everyone laughed. That evening, as the golden light softened behind the hills, Mama Zoya, the oldest widow in the village, visited Amina's mother. "I heard your daughter spoke harshly to that boy, Quito," the elderly woman said. "A woman must guard her tongue. Destiny does not like pride." Amina's mother, Mama Chipo, sighed. "You know how girls are these days. They want the world." Mama Zoya shook her head. "Wanting the world is allowed. Insulting a man's dignity is not. No one knows tomorrow." Meanwhile, across the village, Quito returned to his hut quietly. His grandmother, Gogo Nala, noticed his swollen eyes. "What happened, my son?" He forced a smile. "Nothing, Gogo." But when she pressed him gently, the truth spilled out. He hid nothing, the rejection, the laughter, the humiliation. Gogo Nala listened with sadness. "My son, a woman who laughs at your scars does not deserve to witness your victories." But Quito shook his head. "She does not know who I am. She thinks I am just a poor villager. Maybe she is right to want more." Gogo leaned on her walking stick. What more could she want than a man with a heart of gold? Quito sighed. "Love is complicated, Gogo." She sat beside him, patting his hand. "Then let destiny do its work." In truth, destiny had already begun moving its pieces. The next day, the entire village buzzed with excitement. Drums echoed from the main road. Children ran shouting, "They are coming! They are coming!" Everyone rushed toward the entrance of Ndalama. A convoy of shiny black vehicles rolled into the village, the type only seen in election seasons or major ceremonies. Men stepped out wearing royal uniforms embroidered with golden thread. Women in bright wrappers gasped in awe. At the center of the group walked Royal Advisor Mwenya, a man with a narrow face, keen eyes, and the posture of someone accustomed to importance. People murmured, "Is a politician visiting us? Did someone die in the royal family?" "No, these are palace people." Amina stood near the crowd, adjusting her headscarf. Her heart thumped with curiosity. She had never seen such expensive vehicles before. The sun reflected off the black metal, starring her eyes. She looked around, hoping a handsome prince would emerge. Royal Advisor Mwenya stepped forward. "Where is the home of Quito, son of Nala?" The entire village fell silent. Even Amina's breath stopped. "Quito," she whispered to Fatima. "Why would palace people look for him?" Fatima shrugged. "Maybe he committed a crime. Maybe he owes the king money." But the atmosphere wasn't tense, it was reverent. Mama Zoya whispered, "Ah, so it is time." The villagers guided the palace men to Gogo Nala's compound. Amina joined the crowd out of curiosity, walking with a strange tightness in her chest. Quito was sitting outside repairing a metal cooking pot when the royal men entered. The moment Royal Advisor Mwenya saw him, he bowed his head. "Your Highness," he said softly, "we have come to bring you home." The pot in Quito's hand slipped and hit the ground with a metallic clang. Gasps filled the air like a wave crashing over rocks. "Your what?" villagers murmured. Amina froze, her mouth slightly open, her hands cold. Royal Advisor Mwenya continued, "Prince Quito Mwandenga, heir to the Mwandenga royal throne. Your father, King Sefu, sent us to bring you back. The palace awaits your return." The world around Amina spun. Prince Quito. Her mind refused to accept it. The same boy she mocked. The same boy whose slippers she insulted. The same boy she rejected for being poor. Her stomach twisted painfully. Quito stood up slowly, still shocked. He had known the day would come, but not this soon. Not like this. Not so public. "My grandmother," he began. "We will escort her with honor," Mwenya said respectfully. The king insisted. Gogo Nala smiled softly, tears filling her aged eyes. "I knew this day would return. The blood of kings never dries." Villagers murmured louder. Prince Quito, a royal heir. We never knew. Ah, that girl Amina must be dying inside. Amina felt heat burn through her cheeks. She was dying inside. Her pride crumbled like dried maize in a mortar. She watched Quito glance at the crowd, and for a moment their eyes met. His gaze held no anger, no revenge, only sadness. And that hurt more than hatred. He looked away first. Royal Advisor Mwenya announced, "Prepare yourselves. Tomorrow morning, we leave for the palace." The convoy remained in the village overnight, creating excitement everywhere. But inside Amina's heart, something heavy took root, a mixture of regret, shame, and something she didn't want to name. That night, she lay awake on her raffia mat, staring at the thatched roof. Her mother found her still awake. "Amina, sleep. Tomorrow we have chores." "I made a mistake, Mama," she whispered. "What mistake?" Her voice broke. "Quito, he is a prince." Mama Chipo sighed. "Ah, I heard. I rejected him. I shamed him." "Yes," Mama said plainly. "You did." Amina clenched her blanket. "What do I do now?" "Nothing," her mother replied. "A wound made by pride is healed only by humility. But even then, some wounds never close." Tears slid down Amina's cheeks. For the first time, she felt the sting of her own words. Far across the village, Quito sat outside under the moonlight. The weight of destiny pressed heavily on him. He thought about Amina, her beauty, her sharp tongue, her dreams. He wondered if things might have been different had he told her the truth earlier. But no. He was sent here for a reason. To find a woman who loved him for who he was, not what he had. He exhaled deeply. Tomorrow, his life would change forever. The village, the simple days, the quiet joys, they would all become memories. Yet, amid all that, regret tugged at him gently. Not regret for being rejected, but regret for caring. As the night grew deeper, drums sounded in the distance. Someone celebrating, someone mourning, someone praying. Village life never stayed quiet. But two hearts were restless. One heart heavy with shame, the other heavy with destiny. And neither knew that their paths were far from finished. Their story was only beginning. The morning Quito was set to return to the royal palace. Ndalama village woke before sunrise. Women tied their headscarves neatly, men wore their cleanest shirts, children ran around with excitement, and elders gathered under the old baobab tree whispering, "Our Quito, a prince." Who would have imagined? That boy's humility hid a whole kingdom. Amina did not join the gathering. She sat inside her mother's kitchen hut, her hands pressed against her face. Shame clung to her like damp cloth, heavy and uncomfortable. She remembered every word she had spoken to Quito, words dipped in pride, arrogance, and ignorance. She remembered his face when she mocked his slippers, his eyes when she laughed at his bicycle, the sadness when she rejected him. And now she had to face him, as a prince. Her mother nudged her. "Go outside. At least greet the boy." "Mama, what will I say?" "People will laugh." "People will always laugh," Mama Chipo replied. "But humility is not about them. It is about what your spirit knows is right." Amina hesitated, but the guilt inside her chest pushed her to her feet. She stepped out of the hut. Just a short distance away, the convoy of black vehicles was parked. The palace guard stood tall and proud. Royal Advisor Mwenya spoke softly to some elders. Gogo Nala sat on a chair decorated with cloth, looking every bit like the grandmother of a prince. And Quito. He stood beside his hut, speaking quietly to two royal aides. Amina's stomach twisted as she watched him. He looked different today. Not because of new clothes, he still wore a simple shirt, but because of the respect surrounding him. The villagers who once called him the poor boy who fixes bicycles now bowed their heads when they passed him. She took a deep breath and walked toward him. Her heart pounded painfully with every step. Quito noticed her presence but did not speak first. He simply looked at her, calm, unreadable. Amina swallowed. "Quito, good morning." "Good morning," he replied softly. His voice was polite, distant, controlled. Amina forced a shaky smile. I came to say, I'm sorry." Silence settled between them. Amina continued, unable to stop the words from spilling out. "What I said to you at the borehole, it wasn't right. I shouldn't have spoken like that. I didn't know. Quito held up a gentle hand. "Amina, you don't need to apologize because of what you know now." Her breath caught. He continued, "Your words hurt because they came from judgment, not truth. Even if I were truly poor, I didn't deserve to be mocked." Amina felt tears burn behind her eyelids. "I know. And I am ashamed." Quito looked away, staring at the villagers preparing for the escort. "I'm not angry," he said quietly. "But some things leave marks." His tone wasn't sharp, it was sad, almost tender. And that hurt Amina more than anger ever could. She stepped closer. "Quito, if you give me a chance, I want to make it right." Quito turned back to her, his expression unreadable. "A chance for what?" Her chest tightened. "To know you. Really know you." A faint ache touched his eyes. "Amina, do you want to know me because I'm a prince now?" "No," she whispered. "I want to know you because I was wrong about you, and because something in me regrets hurting you." He studied her face, searching for truth. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke softly. "Amina, I can't stay. My life is changing, and I don't know if I will ever return to Ndoloma." Her heart trembled. Before she could reply, Royal Advisor Mwenya called out, "Prince Quito, it is time." The words cut through her like a blade. Quito nodded faintly and stepped away from her. Villagers gathered, cheering, clapping, bowing as he approached the lead vehicle. Gogo Nala was helped into another car, smiling proudly. The royal guards saluted. Amina stood frozen. As Quito reached the car door, he turned his head and looked at her one last time. Their eyes locked. No judgment, no anger, just a soft, lingering sadness. Then he entered the car. The engines roared. Dust lifted into the air. Children chased the convoy. Women ululated. The village erupted in celebration. But Amina felt as if the entire world had turned silent around her. The convoy disappeared down the long dirt road, leaving behind only the fading echo of its presence. Amina stood alone, watching until the dust settled and the road became empty again. Her chest felt hollow. Her friends approached her, laughing. Look at her face," Shula teased. "The girl who rejected a prince." Fatima smirked. Amina thought she was rejecting a poor boy. Now which city husband will she catch? Their laughter annoyed her, but she remained quiet. For the first time in her life, she felt small. Life moves on. Days passed. Then weeks. Then months. At first, the village buzzed with stories about Quito. Our prince lived with us. He fixed bicycles like an ordinary boy. He ate with us, worked with us. But eventually, as all things do in village life, the excitement faded. Routine returned. Women pounded cassava. Men tilled the fields. Children chased chickens. And slowly, even the memory of the black convoy grew distant. Except for Amina. Every morning, she walked by the borehole where she rejected him. And every time, she felt a sting inside her chest. She found herself replaying moments. The softness in his voice. The humility in his actions. The sadness in his eyes. She realized something painful. She had lost more than an opportunity with a prince. She had lost the chance to know a good man. A rare man. A sincere man. And now, he was far away, living in a world she could never reach. One afternoon, While she was selling sweet bananas in the nearby market, she overheard two women talking. "The king is old now," one whispered. "They say Prince Quito will take the throne soon." "Yes," the other replied. "He is loved by the people. A prince who lived among villagers is a prince with wisdom." Amina's heart squeezed. Prince Quito, soon to be King Quito. And she, Amina Mwango of Ndalama, was just another village girl. She wondered if he remembered her, if he ever thought of her, or if she was just a painful memory he wished to forget. A new visitor in Ndalama. Then something changed. One humid evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, a shiny Toyota Hilux pulled into Ndalama village. Villagers gathered quickly. It was rare to see such a vehicle. A tall woman stepped out. She wore a flowing royal blue gown, gold earrings shaped like lion heads, and sandals decorated with beads. She had the kind of presence that silenced noise around her. Her skin glowed in the fading light, and her braided hair hung down her back like a river of black silk. People whispered, "Who is she? A government official?" "No, that one looks like palace people." The woman smiled warmly and asked, "Where is the home of Amina Mwango?" Amina froze. Everyone turned to stare at her. The woman approached and extended her hand. "My name is Princess Dalitso," she said with grace. "Sister to Prince Quito." Whispers exploded instantly. Amina's lips parted. "Why, you're his sister?" Princess Dalitso nodded. "Yes. He told us about this village, and about the people he met here." Amina's cheeks burned. He spoke of me?" she asked softly. Princess Dalitso smiled faintly. "Yes, he did." Amina looked down, embarrassed. "I'm sure he didn't say anything good." But the princess touched her chin gently, lifting it so their eyes met. "He said you were honest, strong-willed, and unforgettable." Unforgettable. The word struck Amina's heart like lightning. Princess Dalitso continued, "And he asked me to bring you something." She reached into the car and pulled out a small, carved wooden box decorated with royal symbols. Amina hesitated before taking it. "What is inside?" she whispered. "A letter," the princess replied. "But read it when you are alone." Amina swallowed. "Is he? Well, he is preparing for the throne," Dalitso answered proudly. "But he has not forgotten the village, or the lessons he learned here." She placed a gentle hand on Amina's shoulder. "One thing you must understand. My brother does not hold grudges. His heart forgives easily, but he also does not forget what shapes him." Amina nodded slowly. "Will he ever return to Ndalama?" she asked quietly. Princess Dalitso smiled with mystery. "Destiny is a river, Amina. It always finds its path." She returned to her vehicle and drove away, leaving a cloud of dust and 1,000 questions behind. Amina clutched the wooden box to her chest. Her heart beat wildly. She ran home, closed her door, and sat on her bamboo mat. Her hands trembled as she opened the box. Inside was a folded letter sealed with royal wax. She broke the seal, unfolded the paper, and began to read. "Amina, there are things I wish I had the courage to say before I left. You hurt me, yes, but you also taught me something about myself, and about the world. I do not write seeking love or apology. I write because you were part of my story, and stories deserve to be acknowledged. Your words shaped me. Your rejection humbled me, and your honesty guided me. When I ascend the throne, I will carry many memories. You will be one of them, not for what you refused, but for what you made me understand. Quito." Amina's tears fell freely onto the page. She held the letter tightly, feeling both pain and strange comfort. He remembered her. He had forgiven her. But the ache inside her chest deepened, because forgiveness did not erase distance, and regret did not create second chances. The weeks after Princess Dalitso's visit changed Amina. She was still the beautiful girl of Ndolama village, still admired, still sought after, but something inside her had quieted. Her pride. The letter from Quito lived under her pillow. Every night, she unfolded it carefully, reading each line as if her eyes could carve the words deeper into her soul. You shaped me. You humbled me. You guided me. Those words echoed in her mind even when she tried to focus on farming, washing, cooking, or selling bananas in the market. They followed her to the borehole, whispered in the breeze, and reminded her of what she could never have. The boy she rejected had become unreachable. A prince. Soon to be a king. A man whose world sparkled too brightly for someone like her. And yet, she could not forget him. A new suitor. News spreads fast in villages, especially when it concerns beauty. And since people believed Amina had once been close to the prince, even though that wasn't true, men became more interested in her. Some wanted to boast they had married the girl a prince once noticed. Others simply wanted a wife with beauty that shone like morning dew. One afternoon, as Amina sat in the shade selling roasted maize, a well-dressed man approached. His clothes were city-style, crisp shirt, polished shoes, sunglasses, and a silver watch that reflected the sun. People murmured, "Ah, a city man. He must be rich. Is he lost?" He stopped in front of Amina and removed his sunglasses. "I am Patrick Kalinga," he said with a smooth smile. "And you must be the famous Amina." She blinked. Famous? Patrick smiled wider. The girl who nearly married a prince. Everyone in the trading center talks about you. Amina stiffened. People exaggerate. He sat on a wooden stool beside her stand. Even exaggerations start with a spark of truth. "What do you want, Patrick?" she asked plainly. "You," he said without shame. "I want to court you." Her heart did a small, confused leap, not out of excitement, but out of surprise. "Why?" "Beauty, charm, and a story worth telling," he replied, shrugging casually. "I live in the city. I run a transportation business. I can give you a good life." His confidence reminded her of her old self, the one who wanted status more than sincerity. But she wasn't that girl anymore. Still, she didn't say no. "Let me think," she said. Patrick smiled, satisfied. "I will return tomorrow." When he left, the villagers swarmed her. "Amina, marry him. He is educated. He has money. You'll live in the city like you always wanted." But inside her chest, something felt wrong. Patrick had wealth. Patrick had confidence. Patrick had presence. Yet Patrick had no softness, no humility, no sincerity, no Quito. The royal coronation announced. 2 days later, a messenger arrived from the city on a motorcycle. He rode into the village, raising dust as he stopped in the center. Children circled him, cheering. He took out a stack of envelopes and began calling names. When he shouted, "Letter for Amina Mwango," people gasped. Another letter. Again from the palace? Amina's legs went weak. She took the envelope carefully. This one was thicker, sealed with gold wax and royal insignia. She retreated behind her mother's hut, heart pounding, and opened it. Inside was a beautifully decorated invitation card. By order of His Majesty, King Sefu Mwandenga, you are formally invited to the coronation of Prince Kaito Mwandenga as the next king. At the bottom was a handwritten note. "Amina, I do not know if our paths will cross again, but I want you to witness this moment. You were part of my journey, even if in a painful way. If you come, I will be grateful. If you don't, I will still remember you kindly. Quito." Amina pressed her hand against her mouth. He wanted her there. He still thought of her. Her heart trembled with hope and confusion. But would her presence be welcomed by others? Would she embarrass herself? Would she be seen as a shameless girl chasing royalty? She folded the letter and hid it under her wrapper. That night, She stared at the stars. She remembered how Quito used to walk alone, fixing bicycles, smiling quietly. She remembered how she mocked him without seeing who he truly was. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Maybe attending his coronation was the least she could do. Not for love, but for closure, for honesty, for healing. Patrick returns. The next day, Patrick returned as he promised. But this time, he wasn't alone. He came with roses, imported ones, not local. He came wearing stronger perfume. He came with a swagger that attracted attention. He sat beside Amina again. "So, have you decided?" he asked, adjusting his sunglasses. Amina looked at him steadily. "Patrick, I appreciate your interest, but I cannot accept." He leaned back, amused. "Is it because of the prince?" "No," she replied softly. "It's because of me. I am not who I used to be." Patrick laughed lightly. "Let me give you advice, Amina. A girl like you needs a man like me, not fantasies of royalty." Her eyes darkened. "This is not about fantasies." "Oh," he asked mockingly. "Then why did the palace write to you? What do you think will happen? That the new king will sweep you away and carry you to a golden palace?" His tone was cruel. Amina stood. "Leave, Patrick." But he remained seated, smirking. "You should be careful, Amina. Men like me don't come twice. And men like him don't look back." Amina clenched her fists. "Leave." Patrick stood, stepped close enough for his perfume to sting her nose, and said softly, "You're a village girl, Amina. Don't forget that." When he walked away, she felt her anger burning through her shame. But deep inside, a part of her wondered if he was right. The journey begins. The coronation was only 5 days away. Amina had never traveled far from Dolima village. The idea of boarding a bus to a distant city frightened her, but the thought of letting the last thread between her and Quito break frightened her even more. She used her saved money to buy a simple but elegant dress from the trader who visited weekly. A long white dress with soft blue embroidery around the neck and sleeves. Nothing too expensive. Nothing that screamed for attention. Just dignity. Her mother insisted on braiding her hair beautifully. "No matter what happens," Mama Chipo said, "walk with confidence." The village buzzed with excitement when word spread that Amina would attend the coronation. Some whispered, "She is brave. She should stay home. She still likes him. It will end in tears." Others encouraged her. "Maybe fate will surprise her. She must go. Let her see the world." Quito invited her personally. By dawn, Amina boarded the long-distance bus. Her hands shook as she bought the ticket. The journey lasted hours, over hills, across rivers, through forests, into bustling small towns, until finally the bus crawled into the grand capital city. The city dazzled her eyes. Tall buildings, fast cars, people dressed in colorful fashion, music floating from restaurants, billboards taller than coconut trees. Her heart danced between fear and fascination. The palace guards who escorted visitors recognized her name from the list. "Welcome, Miss Amina," one said politely. She felt her breath hitch. A car waited to take her to the royal guest lodge. She watched the sprawling palace grounds with awe, gardens trimmed like artwork, fountains shaped like lions, walls decorated with carvings that told centuries of royal history. A world she never imagined she would step into. But one thing she feared more than all the beauty around her. Facing Quito. The night before coronation. At the guest lodge, Amina lay awake on the soft bed. She listened to the distant drums rehearsing for the ceremony. Her heart beat with each rhythm, as if dancing with uncertainty. She wondered, would Quito even look for her? Would he greet her in front of others? Would the royal family accept her presence? Would she simply be one face in the crowd? She pressed her palm over her heart. "I am here," she whispered softly, "even if he never knows." Before she could drift into sleep, there was a knock on the door. Her breath caught. She rose slowly and opened it. A royal maid bowed slightly. "Miss Amina, the king requests your presence." Amina froze. My presence?" "Yes." "Now, if you please." Her throat went dry. "The king? Quito's father?" She followed the maid through the lit corridors, her heart hammering. They stopped in front of a grand wooden door carved with lions and shields. The maid opened it. And there, sitting on a throne-like chair in a private hall, was King Sefiu Mwandenga. His beard was thick and white, his posture dignified, his eyes sharp yet warm. Amina bowed instantly. "Rise, child," the king said gently. "Come closer." She stepped forward slowly, barely breathing. The king studied her face with curiosity, not hostility. "You are Amina," he said. "The girl my son wrote about." Her heart nearly collapsed. He wrote about me," she whispered. The king nodded. "Yes." "Not with anger, but with reflection. You taught him about pride, about the pain of judgment, about humility on both sides." Amina's eyes watered. "I hurt him, your majesty." "And you hurt yourself too," the king replied. "But pain is also a teacher." She lowered her gaze. "I should not have come. Maybe my presence will embarrass the prince." The king chuckled softly. "Embarrass him? My dear, he invited you." She blinked. The king leaned forward. "Do you love my son?" Her breath stopped. I do not know," she stammered. "But I regret losing him. And I respect him. And my heart remembers him." The king nodded thoughtfully. "Then attend the coronation with dignity. Whatever destiny has written, let it unfold. Whether it leads you back to him or teaches you something new, face it with courage." Tears escaped her eyes. "Thank you, your majesty," she whispered. The king raised his hand gently. "Go and rest. Tomorrow will be long." Amina returned to her room trembling, not from fear, but from something she refused to name. Hope. A fragile, dangerous hope. The day after the announcement of the royal search, the village felt as if it were holding its breath. Every corner hummed with gossip. Women gathered beside the big mango tree, pounding fufu but speaking more than pounding. Men sat outside shops pretending to talk about football while their ears strained for new rumors. Children ran small errands just to pass by the royal officers posted at the chief's palace. The entire village of Nkaranza had become a pot where whispers boiled. And at the heart of that boiling pot stood Aba, carrying a weight so heavy she could barely lift her head. She moved through the village with a quietness that felt unnatural even to her. The lively girl who once teased Kweku by the riverside now walked as if afraid the ground might collapse beneath her feet. She hadn't slept. She hadn't eaten much. Her mind ran in circles, replaying the words she heard from the chief's palace, replaying the older women's whispers, replaying the shock on her own face. So, Kweku is the heir. She could still hear the crack in her voice when she asked Serwa the night before. Serwa had only nodded, pity filling her eyes. "It's true, Aba. They say the elders brought proof. His escort came from the city. They say it's a test of humility. They say—" Aba didn't let her finish. She had walked away with her heart stinging like fresh pepper. Now she reached home, but even inside, peace refused to greet her. Her mother looked up at her with those eyes that always saw too much. "My daughter," her mother said gently, removing groundnut paste from the fire. "You have been quiet." Aba folded her arms tightly across her chest. "Ma, I made a terrible mistake." Her mother gave a slow sigh. "You rejected the boy." Aba nodded, shame pressing against her throat. Her mother placed the wooden spoon aside, walked to her, and cupped her chin. "Aba, listen. Wealth or no wealth, humility or pride. The true question is, did your heart speak too quickly? Or did your pride speak louder?" Aba's voice trembled. I don't know any more." Her mother touched her cheek. Then you must find the answer, before it becomes too late. But too late was already spreading through ABA's chest like poison. Because the elders had said the royal family would choose a wife soon. The search would end soon. And she, who once pushed Kweku away with sharp words, now wasn't sure she could even ask for forgiveness. Kweku, meanwhile, faced a storm of his own. Being revealed as the heir was supposed to feel victorious. A moment of relief after years of hiding, years of learning to live simply among people who didn't treat him as a prince but as a man. But instead, he felt lost. He walked through the forest path leading to the river, the place where everything between him and ABA began. He remembered her laughter echoing over the water. He remembered how she used to splash him and run. He remembered her eyes the first day she insulted him. He remembered his anger. He remembered his longing. He remembered how badly she wounded him the night she called him a useless poor boy with no future. That wound had festered. Now, standing before the river, he whispered to the wind, "Why is my heart still holding her name?" He wanted to be free of her. He wanted to move on. Royal traditions required stability. The future queen had to be strong, wise, faithful, and respectful. ABA had shown him the opposite. But the more he tried to push her out of his heart, the deeper she settled inside it. A rustle behind him made him turn. It was Nana Buzama, the royal adviser who had been watching him since his childhood. "You're troubled, my prince," the old man said, walking with his staff. Kweku shook his head. "Please. I told you to stop calling me that outside the palace." The old man smiled. "The entire village knows now. Your humility is admirable, but hiding is no longer necessary." Kweku sighed. "Humility is not the problem. My heart is." The old man's eyes gleamed. "The girl." Kweku didn't respond. He didn't need to. Nana Buzama tapped his staff on the ground. "Let me tell you something, Kweku. A queen is not chosen based on perfection. A queen is chosen based on courage, the courage to admit mistakes, the courage to love, the courage to grow." Kweku stared at the river. And if her mistake was too deep? There is no wound that a sincere heart cannot heal. Kweku swallowed hard. "What if I don't trust her any more?" The old man turned to him. "Do you trust yourself with her?" Kweku froze. That was the real question, wasn't it? That evening, the chief sent messengers across the village. The announcement was simple. Tomorrow at sunrise, the prince will choose. The women screamed. The men argued. The young girls fixed their hair and practiced smiles in the reflection of water pots. Only ABA sat alone outside her house, hugging her knees in the cool evening breeze. Her mother's clay lamp flickered beside her. The sounds of crickets rose and fell as if singing her heartbreak. She whispered to herself, "If I don't speak now, someone else will take him. Someone else will stand beside him. Someone else." Her voice cracked. This wasn't about royalty anymore. It wasn't about wealth. It was about feeling something she had never felt before. Something that only grew stronger with distance. She realized she didn't reject him because he was poor. She rejected him because she feared falling for someone who had nothing to offer her future. Because she carried childhood memories of her mother suffering, struggling, fighting to raise her alone after her father left. Her fear of poverty had turned into cruelty. And she had pushed away the one heart that cared for her sincerely. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. "I have to see him before sunrise." The final morning. The village was already awake before dawn. Women wore their brightest wrappers. Girls tied beads around their waists to accentuate their beauty. The chief's palace was decorated with palm leaves, drums, and golden cloth. The royal guard stood tall and intimidating. Kweku arrived in a white traditional cloth, simple but elegant, the sun rising behind him like a crown. People gasped. He looked like a prince even without trying. ABA pushed through the crowd desperately, her breath fast, her palms trembling. She had not dressed like the others. No beads. No new cloth. Just her simple wrapper and braided hair. She came not to be chosen but to speak her truth. But as she reached the palace, she saw a girl, beautiful, polished, confident, standing near Kweku. Her heart dropped. That was Adwoa, the chief's niece. Cultured. Educated. Soft-spoken. Exactly the kind of girl a royal house would approve of. Rumor had it that she liked Kweku. Rumor had it that the elders liked her too. Aba's chest tightened painfully. But she forced herself forward. "Kweku!" she called out softly. He turned. Their eyes locked. Everything else, the crowd, the palace drums, the women whispering, faded. Aba felt her voice leave her, but she forced herself to speak. "Kweku, I need to talk to you." His expression did not change. "Aba, this is not the right time." She stepped closer. "Please." His jaw tightened. "You said everything the day you called me useless." Her eyes stung. "I was wrong." He looked away. "Aba, I have forgiven you. But forgiveness does not mean I must trust you again." "Kweku," her voice trembled. "I didn't reject you. I rejected my fear." That made him pause. Aba swallowed hard, tears blurring her vision. "I grew up watching my mother fight alone. I saw what poverty can do. It destroys love. It destroys families. It leaves scars. I didn't want to relive that. I didn't want to lose myself." His expression softened, just a fraction. She continued, voice shaking. "But you are the only person who spoke to me with respect, even when I was cruel. The only person who saw me. The only person who cared. I didn't know how deep it went until you were gone." She took one more step. "I don't want your crown. I want your forgiveness, and maybe someday, a chance to show you I can love without fear." The crowd murmured. Kweku stared at her long and hard. His heart pulled toward her. Every memory of their laughter returned. But so did the pain. "Aba," he whispered. "Why now?" "Because losing you scares me more than poverty ever did." Silence wrapped around them. The chief stepped forward. "My prince, the people are waiting." Kweku looked from the crowd to Aba, then to Adwoa, who watched with calm disappointment. He closed his eyes. Then he turned to the people. "My elders," he began, "I have lived among you, worked among you, suffered among you. I have seen real hearts. Some hide behind beauty, some behind pride, some behind wealth, and some behind fear." He looked at Aba. "A queen should not be perfect. A queen should be honest." He turned fully toward Aba. "Aba, come forward." Her knees almost collapsed beneath her. She stepped forward, trembling. Kweku took her hand. Gasps erupted from the crowd. "I choose the woman whose truth did not come wrapped in perfection, but in humility. I choose the woman who admits her mistakes. I choose the woman with whom my heart has fought the longest, and the hardest." Aba burst into tears. Kweku squeezed her hand gently. "I choose you, Aba." Even Adwoa smiled softly, bowing her head in respect. The chief lifted his staff. "The prince has chosen." Drums exploded. Women ululated. Men shouted in approval. Children danced. Aba stood frozen, tears streaming down her face as the entire village celebrated her. But all she saw was Kweku, the boy she hurt, the prince she feared, the man she now loved. He leaned and whispered, "You broke me once. Don't break me again." She whispered back through tears, "I will spend every day proving I won't." And when their foreheads touched, the village erupted once more. Her fear of poverty had turned into cruelty, and she had pushed away the one heart that cared for her sincerely. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. "I have to see him before sunrise." The final morning. The village was already awake before dawn. Women wore their brightest wrappers. Girls tied beads around their waists to accentuate their beauty. The chief's palace was decorated with palm leaves, drums, and golden cloth. The royal guard stood tall and intimidating. Kweku arrived in a white traditional cloth, simple but elegant, the sun rising behind him like a crown. People gasped. He looked like a prince even without trying. Aba pushed through the crowd desperately, her breath fast, her palms trembling. She had not dressed like the others. No beads. No new cloth. Just her simple wrapper and braided hair. She came not to be chosen but to speak her truth. But as she reached the palace, she saw a girl, beautiful, polished, confident, standing near Kweku. Her heart dropped. That was Adwoa, the chief's niece. Cultured. Educated. Soft-spoken. Exactly the kind of girl a royal house would approve of. Rumor had it that she liked Kweku. Rumor had it that the elders liked her too. Aba's chest tightened painfully. But she forced herself forward. "Kweku!" she called out softly. He turned. Their eyes locked. Everything else, the crowd, the palace drums, the women whispering, faded. Aba felt her voice leave her, but she forced herself to speak. "Kweku, I need to talk to you." His expression did not change. "Aba, this is not the right time." She stepped closer. "Please." His jaw tightened. "You said everything the day you called me useless." Her eyes stung. "I was wrong." He looked away. "Aba, I have forgiven you. But forgiveness does not mean I must trust you again." "Kweku," her voice trembled. "I didn't reject you. I rejected my fear." That made him pause. Aba swallowed hard, tears blurring her vision. "I grew up watching my mother fight alone. I saw what poverty can do. It destroys love. It destroys families. It leaves scars. I didn't want to relive that. I didn't want to lose myself." His expression softened, just a fraction. She continued, voice shaking. "But you are the only person who spoke to me with respect, even when I was cruel. The only person who saw me. The only person who cared. I didn't know how deep it went until you were gone." She took one more step. "I don't want your crown. I want your forgiveness, and maybe someday, a chance to show you I can love without fear." The crowd murmured. Kweku stared at her long and hard. His heart pulled toward her. Every memory of their laughter returned. But so did the pain. "Aba," he whispered. "Why now?" "Because losing you scares me more than poverty ever did." Silence wrapped around them. The chief stepped forward. "My prince, the people are waiting." Kweku looked from the crowd to Aba, then to Adwoa, who watched with calm disappointment. He closed his eyes. Then he turned to the people. "My elders," he began, "I have lived among you, worked among you, suffered among you. I have seen real hearts. Some hide behind beauty, some behind pride, some behind wealth, and some behind fear." He looked at Aba. A queen should not be perfect. A queen should be honest. He turned fully toward Aba. "Aba, come forward." Her knees almost collapsed beneath her. She stepped forward, trembling. Kweku took her hand. Gasps erupted from the crowd. "I choose the woman whose truth did not come wrapped in perfection, but in humility. I choose the woman who admits her mistakes. I choose the woman with whom my heart has fought the longest, and the hardest." Aba burst into tears. Kweku squeezed her hand gently. "I choose you, Aba." Even Adwoa smiled softly, bowing her head in respect. The chief lifted his staff. "The prince has chosen." Drums exploded. Women ululated. Men shouted in approval. Children danced. Aba stood frozen, tears streaming down her face as the entire village celebrated her. But all she saw was Kweku, the boy she hurt, the prince she feared, the man she now loved. He leaned and whispered, "You broke me once. Don't break me again." She whispered back through tears. "I will spend every day proving I won't." And when their foreheads touched, the village erupted once more.